Good morning. Good morning. So, start off with a few words from my lifelong guru. Silence is like the blank slate upon which all of life is written, the piece of paper without which the writer's words would slip off the pen into the void, never to be appreciated. So, silence your phone. Okay. Spiritual but not religious. Inside America's rapidly growing faith group, a new poll finds almost 1 in 5 Americans is spiritual but not religious. This is from the Vox News Service. Ava Lee Scott, an actress and theater maker in New York, doesn't practice an organized religion. Raised in both Catholic and Jewish traditions, Scott's own spiritual life is far more eclectic. She studies ancient languages from the Aramaic of Christ to Hebrew to Arabic. She reads tarot cards, runes, and cowrie shells. She believes in a higher power, something some people might call God, but believes such a power transcends individual traditions, dogmas. Whatever name you call your higher power, she told Vox, we are all connected. Scott is not alone. In fact, she's part of a group that makes up nearly 1/5 of Americans, the spiritual but not religious. Almost 20% of Americans, according to a survey released this week by the Public Religion Research Institute, belong to a category that transcends stereotypical religious identity. The survey, which profiled about 2,000 American adults in early 2017, found that 18% of Americans identify as spiritual but not religious. They tend to skew younger and more educated than religious Americans, with 40% holding at least a 4-year degree and 17% having some form of postgraduate degree. They're also far more politically liberal than their religious counterparts. The study created separate religiosity and spirituality indexes. Participants who scored highly on the spirituality index reported feeling connected to something much larger than themselves and felt particularly connected to the world around them and to a higher purpose. But for many in this set, spirituality doesn't necessarily track with traditional religious observance. The study found that the single greatest spiritual experience for this group was not prayer or meditation, but music. A full 71% of spiritual Americans reported having been inspired or touched by listening to a piece of music in the past week, compared to just 43% of non-spiritual respondents. For many people who are spiritual but not religious, spiritual experiences can come from unlikely places. For Dane Quentin Gore, an artist in Arizona who grew up Southern Baptist, his artistic practice has replaced an approach to organized religion he found obtuse and hopelessly convoluted. Gore said he finds religious meaning in creating powerful art. Ceremonies, to me, have now become my puppet shows, he said. All of these things are the closest I get to religious experience these days. Making art and puppetry are my transcendent moments. Scott finds the feeling in nature. Living in the city, I fill my apartment with plants and herbs, green life. I cleanse with Dead Sea salt baths and other herbal healing baths. I love nature and herbs. They are the magic healers of the earth and connect us to the spiritual. Often, people who have sought spirituality outside of organized religion have done so because they do not feel that there is a place for them in their childhood faith. Scott Stanger, a photographer in New York, said that although he was raised as a conservative Jew, complete with a bar mitzvah and religious classes, quote, I think either I missed the point or they did not teach the point of spirituality. Now, he said, he's put off by the politics and intrusion of religion, seeing it as an outmoded at best and toxic at worst. Yet, each of the people they spoke to agree that spirituality, in some sense, is beneficial to them, even if they see that spirituality as opposed to organized religion. Their anecdotal evidence bears out another element of the study. spiritual people are generally happier than non-spiritual people. One thing that many of the interview subjects had in common, though, was a desire for community. One thing their more solitary ritual practices hadn't been able to give them. Most said that community was something they missed, and many reported fond memories of a communal aspect to their childhood religions. I don't tend to like uniformity of practice and belief because that gets a bit culty to me, said Rybar. It often means people stop asking questions. That's why I'm shy of organized spiritual community, but I do sometimes long for more people to share things with. I am thankful to have all of you to share things with.